the Wake Up and Live with the Art Show, the performing and cultural arts program which celebrates and showcases the diversity of the arts and performing artists in Northeast Ohio. Let us start getting in position to welcome our first guest of the evening. And our first guest is a filmmaker, local filmmaker named Edward C. Banks Sr., commonly known as DJ Fatty Banks. So, Garrett, let's welcome Edward C. DJ Fatty, Mr. Banks Sr.
All the names.
How are you, sir?
I'm fine.
I am so glad that on such short notice you were able to join us this evening to talk about a very special project that you developed and you produced, you directed, and I found out about this project through two of my students. Gary, you know I work at Upward Bound at Tri-C Metro, and two of my students, Amanat Adebayo and Deshawn Emery, turned out to be featured in your film project. Tell us about the Bully X project.
Well, the name of my program, I've been doing this since 2004, is Reading RAM. RAM stands for Recording Arts, Music, and Media. And we engage children with intervention and educational projects through media. My background is audio. I've been DJing since I was 13. It evolved into me producing music. Countless people I've worked with, Gerald Levert, Bone Thugs and Harmony.
Oh, you've been around. You've been working with the big guns.
My current artist is Ray Jr.
Okay.
He signed to Def Jam. So I think my career sucks the kids in.
Okay.
It's not a problem with me getting kids engaged in the schools. So I've actually been in CMSD since '08.
Are you on a special contract with them, or?
I normally work under several different grants. This year we were under the Student Achievement Grant. But this year I had a crazy idea. They wanted me to do some type of intervention project with the kids. Normally we would do educational, where we reinforce the Ohio graduation test. Oh
God, the OGTs.
Right.
The infamous OGTs.
I feel like if kids can memorize everything they hear on the radio or whatever, their brain works just fine. So we found a method to take curriculum and turn it into songs. And the kids' test scores was off the charts. So this year, from doing a lot of intervention, working with Tapestry System of Care, do a lot of intervention with a lot of kids that get involved with juvenile court system. And they let me come in, and we decided to choose bullying as that, because that was the huge focus in the schools, a problem that's like
and it still
district-wide, city, nationwide. So I actually had contracts in about 6 schools. So I had the crazy idea to take students from each school to create the Bully X project, and we did a great job.
Crazy ideas are usually the best ideas.
Right. So, you know, because you have to deal with kids, you know, some of your talent not making it to school. Just, you can name it, you working with kids.
Yes, kids are creative.
Right.
Way back when I used to teach regular high school, I was a John Adams person. So is my colleague over here, Norma Powell. And I would, way back in even those days when students were, quote, in much better shape academically, culturally, a whole lot of ways, socioeconomically. And when they gave you fits in the classroom, we would have talent shows, and like you said, those very same children would be up there showcasing all of their creativity, and that fascinated me. It was a marvelous thing to behold it and see it happen. Yeah. So how did you get involved in this? I know you said that you kind of evolved from DJing into this intervention project kind of thing. How did you make that transition?
Well, you know, most of the time, songs, you have to create a music video. So that's why I got interested in filming.
I see. So it's kind of an extension, an
Right.
evolutionary
So,
process, yeah.
To save money, my whole career has been like that. I learned graphic design the same way. So I went to Tri-C and I shot it was called, I'm trying to remember the name, Stony Burke, I think was the name of the movie. But I did a class with Tri-C, and I just hung with the grip.
Okay.
The grip part of of the film,
Of
and
the
I
crew,
learned
yeah.
so much. Yeah, learned
Yeah.
so much. The lighting. I was just fascinated with
By
the
the whole
film part,
thing,
so
yeah.
I could start bringing that to my program. So then we just started doing projects from scratch as film instead of it always being based around, the audio.
Okay.
So that's pretty much how it evolved. It just naturally, because everything is visual now.
Oh,
on
yes.
the internet. So,
That's why we're still working on getting our YouTube channel squared away.
okay.
Yeah.
So
And I still haven't learned how to use Facebook. We got it, but I don't know what to do with it.
As long as you didn't buy any stock in it.
Oh.
That's the important thing.
You got that right, yeah.
So the kids, we wanted to totally get the kids involved. So the kids developed the script because I wanted the film to engage the kids. I didn't want us to write it
And then just have
from an
them
adult
act, yeah.
perspective. I wanted it to come from them. So the situations they deal with every day at school, I wanted them to write it. I think we addressed some real tough subjects, not just about bullying, but the relationships that go on in school. Just a lot of the issues they
That
deal
they
with.
face, yeah.
So the music was all original, so they got to record a lot of the songs that were developed to address certain scenes in the movie. So they created the music.
How
I
long
pretty
did
much
this-
set studios up
Yeah.
in each school.
How long did the entire project take from concept to production? You're in post-production, obviously, because you've had your premiere.
Right.
Yeah.
I believe we started late December, early January.
Of this year?
Yeah.
And you've got a finished product out there in the market.
Right. That's how you do it.
Okay, we all need to learn about that.
So,
Where's Stefan? Can you hear this?
so yeah, we shot it in 5 schools. After school, I think our crew was about 6 people, maybe about 5-6 people was my staff.
Okay. And how did you select the schools and the students to
Well,
participate?
it was more about the schools who were looking for after-school programming. They pretty much reached out to us.
Okay.
So once so many schools found out about the project, I know we'll be in so many other schools
Oh, sure.
next year. But basically, we had students, it's 6 types of bullying, and we had each school kind of addressed the different physical, cyber, intimidation, social alienation, and then we wrote it to put it all together as one film.
How many young people did you have involved in the writing of this film?
So
He's
you
our
figure
playwright.
that-
He's our writer. Yeah.
Well, let's say for instance at Kennedy, I think we had about 20 kids. Each school had about 20, at the least maybe 15 to 12 kids. So altogether it was over probably 100 kids.
And did each school write their own individual portion, or did all of
Right.
these, so it wasn't a matter of all of these young people coming together and brainstorming as a
Right.
group, they wrote an individual portion of the
Right. So,
screenplay.
That's why we took the different bullying
Types, yeah.
types, and that's how theirs wouldn't be exactly like theirs. And then what we tried to do, obviously we engaged the kids with techniques to deal with bullying along with the lines of us writing the movie. So it was programming, creating the film. It was a way to get them, because most kids, I think if you just came in and said, well look, won't y'all stay after school and talk about bullying, they're gonna go on about their business. So because they get to create a film, make songs, now they'll stay after school. So they did get you know, they learned about bullying and how to deal with the issue.
And how did Amanat, and I don't, Deshaun had a supporting role. How did Amanat come into the project and end up being one of your featured players?
Well, Amanat actually does a lot with when they broadcast over the PA, the morning announcement. Yes. So she was there. She had to do an announcement, and she was there the first day I made an announcement at East Tech about staying after school. You know, if y'all want to come meet me. And blah blah blah, and she said, "Hey, I want to be in the movie."
That child is in everything she can get herself into.
Excellent, and she did such a great job in the movie. Like everybody, like she can cry on spot.
On spot, yeah.
Yeah, so
then you have to wait for cues. She
she just blew everybody away with her performance in the movie.
I need to learn how to do that.
Right, I don't.
I've never auditioned.
But you know that works 2 ways.
I've never auditioned for The Odd Couple, a play I've always wanted to do because Felix has to cry on cue, and I can't do that. I can't do it. Were these young people who were involved with the writing, were they also the people who appeared in the film, or did you have some?
Everyone didn't want to have a face on a figure in front of the camera.
Sure. Yeah.
So they either took a grip role, but everybody pretty much was involved with writing.
Anyone who wanted to be in the film could be in the film. It was their choice.
And we developed a character. We tried to address. I feel like in just programming period, I feel like a lot of times the kids that get bullied get addressed most of the time, not the bullier. And we wanted to really highlight that a lot of times the kids that are bullying have issues that aren't being addressed. So
self-esteem.
Right.
That's
so they're taking out their anger on somebody else that is coming from somewhere else. So we developed characters. I think we had a couple of our characters were foster children in bad home situations. One kid was homeless. Like going house to house, got kicked out of grandmom's house. So we really developed each character, and then we started developing the script.
Well, that wasn't even character, because half of my classes, when we talked to the students, let me ask you this quickly. I know you got another question, but I want to make sure we get in some important information. A couple of things. Where do you want this film to go? Where can people see this film? How can they connect with you? We want your website, your email, your contact phone number.
Well, BullyX we developed because basically these kids created this movement.
Yes.
It's called BullyX. So we created bullyx.org. We have some testimonials up there right now. And then what I would do is break down the film in segments to put on bullyx.org.
Okay.
Excuse me, I'm sorry. The film will definitely be shown in hundreds of schools next year.
Okay, so it's going into school distribution.
Right. So my goal is to, let's say, take Amanat, and let's say I go to Adams. Adams is one of the schools I know I'll work in next year. So I'll take Amanat, we'll show the film, and it'll be programming. Okay. And I'm trying to develop ways to so Amanat can receive a stipend.
That would be lovely, yeah. So
I always try to create ways for them to make an income too, to see how they can use what they love doing to make $1.
Oh yeah.
Instead of doing something dumb.
We both know what that's like. Gare, I'm sorry, you were going to ask a question to make a comment a moment ago.
Well, it sounds like you have taken the approach that you're not trying to demonize the bully. You are trying to understand what causes the bully to engage in the behavior that they do. Not that it isn't wrong, but instead of just up against the wall, pal, why is the bully doing this? You're taking that sort of approach.
You could go to hundreds of professionals and everyone have their way how they feel like they can fix bullying, but I feel like if you don't address the bullier from the get-go, then I feel like it's always the other kids that get help, and it's not to say they shouldn't have been helped, because a lot of times the bully picks out somebody with low self-esteem or
so
has
somebody
issues,
he can
but
control.
Right. So if they get to know, I think one of our scenes in the movie, her name is Marcy in the film. Marcy's somebody hacked her Facebook, as you said you don't know how to, or you say you don't know how to use
it. Right, got it, but don't know what to do with it.
Well, somebody, if you had one, your Facebook could be hacked, and somebody could say you're gay, like you said. So in the movie, instead of trying to make her feel uncomfortable about portraying a gay person in the film, so that didn't turn into anything, we wrote it as her brother committed suicide because he was gay. And somebody was bullying them, but to find out, so the way it was wrote, the bullier's mom committed suicide.
Wow.
That's why she's in a foster home. And that's where that connection came from, that she had a brother that committed suicide. So they ended up at the end of the movie becoming like they had a connection now, because they both had a family member that, you know, that passed from committing suicide. So I think all I know is we showed it in 6 schools, and you know how typically when you show something, the kids get up, go to the bathroom, play. They sat and watched the whole movie because they relate to it, because it was wrote by them, and that was our whole goal.
How long is the film itself?
It's an hour.
An hour. Oh, that's that's doable for school context uses.
Right.
Yes, that's
definitely.
Okay, now can you tell us again what but repeat your contact information so that people would. So, for instance, let's say a library wanted you to come in and do an afternoon. Could they contact you and bring the film in, or are you strictly consigned to the schools?
You can contact me at my phone number is 216-798-5872. Our email is readingram. Ram is RAM @gmail.com. Websites is readingram.com, and then bullyx.org.
And as we begin to wrap up this segment, tell us a little bit about, and I know this isn't going to be an ongoing project, but you're a creative person. So what's in the wind? What's right behind here, or what's on the development table for your upcoming projects?
Well, this was my 3rd film we did. Our first film was called Consequences. The second one was called Another Chance. And the film that I've been putting some capital together, I want to shoot a film. I graduated in '88.
From which school?
Kennedy.
Oh,
which is my first school.
Too bad.
No, that's Eagle.
Oh, honey, don't mess with us rebels.
Eagle.
No, rebels.
See, this is a different segment. We'll get into that
later. Yeah.
I should have worn a striped shirt. How about to your corners, people? To your corners.
Right. So I think I made one of the best decisions. I left and went to the military.
Okay.
But when I came back, you know, the neighborhoods changed drastically. So I feel like a lot of my kids' generation, a lot of them haven't been raised because a lot of their parents either sold drugs or were on drugs. And then you got the few families in the middle that was able to escape both.
Right.
But I want to tell the story of, you know, you got a lot of kids and families that were on the end of selling it, so they had money and things, but I want to show how many issues they had, like when Pop went to jail. So a lot of our youth wasn't raised. They was raised by grandma.
Oh yeah.
Grandma don't know about Facebook and Twitter, and you know they can't keep up with young kids. So you know, it'll tell the story of both sides.
Okay. Now, let me ask you, it sounds like, would you be able to say that the message underlying or in your face from your work is empowering youth, adults for that matter, and empowering them to take control of themselves, their lives? How do you see that?
Right. A lot of the kids, I feel like, even the kids we come in contact with, is just really lost. and they just going with the flow. So I feel like the more we can bring father figures in their life, so a lot of these kids, I'm like their only father figure, and I don't have a problem with them calling me. They call me daddy. You know, kids. I had to go to a graduation this year from one of my first, you know, Reading Ram students, and he's going off to school for film, and you know, and audio and recording. So I feel like it's just another way to get a lot of times a positive person in their life.
And with that, that is what we mean by who was that? Hillary Clinton coined "It takes a village," and we all have different approaches to how to make a difference in the community, how to make a difference with our youth and the adults. And that's what we like to think that we're doing here at the Actors Studio, is contributing to making lives better on the artistic level as well as the educational and life level. And so we want to thank Mr. Edward C. Banks Sr., DJ Fatty Banks. Are you DJing anywhere soon that we need to tell people about?
I'm about to leave right now and go to the Playmore skating rink.
Is that still, where's the Playmore?
So you want to put your skates on?
The Playmore.
And come on, get it in.
Is it still on 100 in Cedar? Where is it?
No, it's on Lakeshore Drive in
Really?
Euclid, right across from Dave's Supermarket.
Oh my
You
heavens!
can go over to the supermarket, get you some water. And stuff.
Oh, I know that place well.
Come on,
That's my old stomping grounds.
When I grew up as a kid, it was on Cedar. It was like 104th and 5th or Cedar, and I was too young to go in there.
Well,
and then it was gone.
Well, you're old enough now to
Watch out, watch out. And with that, we're closing this segment. Thanks. Stay tuned. You're going to meet Stefan J. Davis, James McGilvray, Karen Shepard, and maybe even Norma Powell coming up later in this hour. Stay tuned.